Hi, it's Richard here from Intelligent Advisor IT Consulting with a little bit of an overview of the new Test Suite API. Now, I've got a collection of API calls here organized into a Postman collection. I've already performed the necessary authorization, so I have a token ready to go. And the first example we're going to do is how to create a test suite. So you can see that this is a post, and the 5 basic elements we need are a name for our test suite, a description, the test type, as we described in the article, there are 2 different types, the workspace that we're going to go and get stuff from, which obviously means that this has to be in the same workspace, and the deployment or deployments that you can see in the array afterwards need to be associated with that workspace as well. So I'm going to go ahead now and send this and hopefully get a positive response from the Oracle Intelligent Advisor Hub. In my case, I've already done it once, so you can see that I get a message saying this already exists, but otherwise all is good. So now that we have created a test suite, in fact, let's go ahead and just demonstrate that other HTTP verbs are available. I'm going to go ahead and actually delete that for you using a delete of the example test suite. There we go. And I'll get no response other than something positive, I hope. Good. 204, no content. That sounds fine. So now we'll go back and we will run our post again. And hopefully this time we should get a rather more positive message because we will have created our test suite. There we go. So we've created our test suite and we've associated with the workspace and 1 or more deployments. This is a batch assess test case, not a decision service test case. And I'm using a deployment. I'm not using project. As I describe in the article or in a later article, you can choose any combination of that. You can have a batch assess test suite, or you can have a decision service test suite, and you can have deployment or project-based test suite. Now that we have a test suite set up, let's go ahead and create a test case. So a test case is where it really starts to get interesting because this is something that you should look at as being quite familiar to you. Here is my test case using the project that I showed you in the article. It's enabled and I have my input here. These are the inputs that I need. And this is case number 1 with my 4 inputs. These are the outcomes that I want. I want a Boolean called b_success. I want the relationship called the results. And within the entity that is supporting the containment, the results, I want the step and the step number. And here comes the important part. This is case expectation number 1. So this is the equivalent of going into Excel and saying, these are my expectations. I expect with the data I supplied here, I expect it to be a successful resolution. And these are the 7 steps that I expect to get out of it. So this is what's going to be compared to the actual output. So my test case only has, I have a single test case in my test suite. Obviously, you can have more than one. So I'm going to go ahead and create that test case. Notice how the URL references the test suite that I just created. And since I've been doing this for quite a while, I'll change the name and insert it. So there's my test case. And you can see that test case 2, because I already did a demo for myself a little while ago, has now been created. So now we have a test suite with a test case inside it. All that remains for me to do is to go ahead and create a test run. And the test run, I'm going to run my example test suite, and I'm going to run it immediately. And I'm going to hit send. So now this is going to push my test suite with its test case inside it, and it's going to come up as being status pending. As you will have seen in the documentation and in the article, this is an asynchronous thing, so it's going to be not happening right away, even though the type is immediate. I can always perform a get to find out what's going on. So I'm going to go and do a get test run to see what the status is. So my run is run number 1, which we just saw from the output of create test run. And this is my test suite. Let's go ahead and see what's happening. And you can see that in the time it took me to tell you all of that, the status has changed to passed. So it means that, well, in theory, there's been some good news. You can see that I had one test case, one pass, no failed, no error, no pending. So what do we need? Well, we need the details of exactly what happened in that. So now that I know that my test run has finished, I'm going to go and make another call. Make sure that I have the right test run number in here. And you can see in this case, I'm going to ask about the test suite. And I can retrieve the summary, or I can go ahead and click on the Get Test Run Results. And this time round, so I'm going to go and get the results of run number 1 for my test suite concerning this deployment. And you can see the details of my inputs and my outputs and the actual output. So we're able to verify that there's been a comparison success. So I have asserted that my answer was correct and my test has been run successfully. Needless to say that there's a whole bunch of patches and deletes that you can do to update test cases, update test suites, delete test cases, delete test suites, and so on. But that's the whistle-stop tour of how you use the new Test Suite API.